Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome guys to this video of Mukhtasar al-Qudoori. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. So we are going through Mukhtasar al-Qudoori, and this is something which is we've been actually doing it for almost 10 years now. So alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And we have reached up to the Kitab al-Buyoo. If you guys did not watch the last video, which was the crash course one, please check that out. Inshallah, it's going to be very beneficial to understand this chapter. So let's crack on then. Buyoo, it means trade. So Buyoo means trade. Yanaqidu, it means to become contracted. In aqada yanaqidu is from the root letters ha, ayn, qaf, dal. Ijab is from the word wajaba, to become necessary. Here it's actually from the bab if'al, awjaba yujibu ijab, which actually means to make an offer. Qabul is from qabalam, which means to accept. إذا كان بلفظ الماضي, so lafaz, it means utterance. Okay, utterance. Madi إذا أوجب أحد متعاقدين is the ism file of ينعقد. In fact, this is actually from the bab ta'aqud. So ta'aqada yata'aqadu, when two people make a contract. Ta'aqad. The muta'aqid is the person who actually makes the contract. In sha'a qabila fil majlisi. So qabila yaqbalu, right, to accept. This before. Majlis, it means a sitting or a gathering. Wa in sha'a radda, radda means to reject, decline. Ayyuhuma qama, qama, you know what that means. Majlis, qabul, batala, it means to become void. Ijab is the offer. Idha hasal ijab qabul lazima, becomes binding, necessary, binding. Khiyar li wahid illa min aib, aib, defect. And adam ru'ya, a'wad is from the word a'iwad, which means exchangeable item. Exchange, can't even spell. Exchangeable item. Al-mushar, it means something which is pointed. It's from the word ishara. It means something that's pointed at. Pointed. Yahtaj is need. This word has come before as well. Ma'rifa is knowledge, acknowledgement. So here we can translate as knowledge. Miqdar is quantity, amount. Okay, amount. Jawaz, athman is from the word thaman, which means prices. The plural of thaman, which means prices. Mutlaqa means unconditioned. Okay, tasihhu, ma'rufa, qadar. Qadar means the same as miqdar. Sifa, it means it's a description. Yeah, so description. Yeah, specs. Bay, thaman, hal. Hal means cash. From the word halla, ha, lam, lam. Okay, halun, halla, cash. Cash, like immediate. Mu'ajjal. Mu'ajjal, which means deferred credit. Okay, credit deferred. إذا كان الأجل, when the ajal is ma'loom, known. Okay, so you know what that means. Thaman bay ala ghalib means dominant. Dominant. Naqad, it means currency. Okay, currency. Al-balad. Right, let's move up in this. Check this out. Let me know what you guys think about Buyoo. Do you guys like Buyoo? Have you studied it before? How do you find it? I like to know these kind of pieces of information about you guys. In kanat an-nuqud is a jam of naqad, mukhtalifa, different. Fasid, remember in the crash course I mentioned fasid means defective. So defective. إلا أن يبين أحدهما. بين يبين is to elaborate. حتى ويجوز بيع الطعام حبوب. So طعام is food. Yeah, and hubub is seeds. Now normally in classical text when they say ta'am, it does refer to wheat, so we can actually put wheat there. Right, wheat makes more sense. Mukayalatan, it means measured in cups. From the word kail, kaf, lam. So kaf, lam, kaf, ya, lam, kail. Kail. So kaf, ya, lam, kail. Right? إذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. Mujazafa, jazaf, it means in approximation, like without specific measure. Ina is a vessel. It's loads of new words here. Bi'aynihi, specific. I guess maybe that's why people find Buyoo quite hard, because they're exposed to a lot of new things that they're not really familiar with. Whereas ibadat is kind of like, you've done it before. Wazan is weight. Hajar is stone. Okay, Ya'rif Miqdar. Subra, it means a heap, a pile, a heap. Qafiz is a specific cup. Yeah, just like we have liters, and it's a specific measure, cup measure. Okay, specific cup measure. Dirham jaz al-bay' qafiz wahid batala. Yeah, again, it means void. Baqi, remainder. And yusamma, right, so it's to stipulate, to name. Stipulate. Nama yanamu. Qufzan is the jama of qafiz. Okay. Usually yasihu fil wajhain, two scenarios. Waman ba'a qati, it means a herd. Ghanam is sheep or goats, came before in zakat. Bayt fasid fi jami' kadhalika ba'a thawb. Thawb is cloth. Mudhara'atan is from the word dhira'. Yeah, dhira', which means something which is measured through cubits. Dirham, silver coin. Done this before. Lam yusammi jumlat al-dhar'an. Dhar'an is obviously the plural of dhira'. Okay. Alright, so let's have a look at this. That's basically all the words you're probably going to need for a very long time. On a joke. You're going to need more words, don't worry. Alright, so let's have a go now at this then. So, first of all, let's do a bit of tarkeeb. So, tarkeeb, kitabu al-buyuu, you should know that by now. Al-bay'u is a mubtada. Yan'aqidu is a fail. Bil-ijabi wal-qabul is ataf onto ijab. إذا كان بلفظ الماضي. So should be بلفظي الماضي. إذا كان بلفظي, because supposed to be dual الماضي. وإذا أوجب أحد المتعاقدين البيعة مفعول به. فالآخر مبتدأ بالخيار جار مجرور متعلق is the خبر single كسرة. إن شاء قابل فعل فاعل في المجلس وإن شاء رده رد. وأيهما قام من المجلس جار مجرور قبل القبول مضاف مضاف إليه. بطل الإيجاب, this is the فاعل of بطل. وإذا حصل الإيجاب فاعل of والقبول عطف onto إيجاب. لازم البيع فاعل of لازم. ولا خيار لواحد, لا خيار لا نفي الجنس منهما إلا من عيب أو عدم رؤية مضاف مضاف إليه. New sentence. والأعواض المشار صفة موصوف مبتدأ إليها لا يحتاج إلى معرفة أو يكسر لا يحتاج إلى معرفة مقدارها في جواز البيع. Next sentence. والأثمان المطلقة again مبتدأ لا تصح إلا أن تكون معروفة القدر والصفات عطفا قدر. ويجوز البيع بثمن حال ومؤجل مؤجل إذا كان الأجل معلوما. ومن أطلق الثمن أو ثمن rather مفعول به. أطلق is the fail and the فاعل and this is the مفعول به. في البيع كان على غالب نقد البلد مضاف مضاف إليه. double مضاف مضاف إليه. and فإن كانت النقود مختلفة فالبيع فاسد إلا أن يبين أحدهما. This is the مفعول به. Okay. إلا أن يبين أحدهما, the مفعول به. This is the فعل plus the فاعل. ويجوز بيع فاعل الطعام والحبوب كلها مكايلة ومجازفة تمييز وبإناء بعينه جار مجرور ولا يعرف مقداره نائب فاعل وبوزن حجر مضاف مضاف إليه بعينه لا يعرف مقداره ومن باع صبرة طعام كل قفيز بدرهم جاز البيع في قفيز واحد عند أبي حنيفة وبطل في الباقي. Okay, باقي is just like that. It's if you know what this kind of word is called, which has a ya at the end, put in the comments. إلا أن يسمى or يسمي, it can be. If it's يسمي جملة قفزانها, okay, it's going to be مفعول. And if it's مجهول, then it's going to be جملته. قال أبو يوسف ومحمد رحمه الله يصح في الوجهين. Okay, يصح في الوجهين. Okay. ومن باع قطيع غنم كل شاة بدرهم فالبيع فاسد في جميعها وكذلك من باع ثوبا مفعول به مضارعة تمييز كل ذراع بدرهم ولم يسمى جملة هذه الذرعان. Okay, let's have a go then. Quite a lot to cover today. Let's see if we can we do it? Do you guys think we can do it, inshallah? Think we'll do it? Yeah, let's do this, inshallah. You guys have husn al-dhan in me. Okay, so basically, let's say, for example, these are two people who want to do a deal. This guy has a laptop that he wants to sell, right? We're going to call him the seller, or in Arabic, the bayi'. And this guy has the currency to buy it from him. He's called the buyer, or the mushtari in Arabic. Now, when a contract happens, there has to be something that solidifies the contract. So we call that an offer and acceptance. Ijab and qabul. One of the guys makes an offer, the other guy accepts it. So this is the main cornerstone of a transaction. You must have on both sides some sort of a deal done, right? So al-bay'u, so he's saying trade, yan'aqidu is contracted with an offer and acceptance. Now the buyer can make the offer. He can say, I'll give you £500 for the laptop. Or the seller can make the offer. The seller basically says, I'll sell my laptop for £500. And he says, I'll accept. Yeah, so the guy who first initiates the deal is called the mujib, the one that's doing the offer. And the other guy is doing the qabul. إِذَا كَانَ, so long as it's with two past words. What does two past words mean? So basically what he's saying is that in Arabic, in order for a contract to be solidified, you have to use the past verb. Now in English, we don't use the past verb, so it doesn't apply to us in English. So in Arabic, you have to say, I sold the laptop. And the other guy says, other way around. Yeah, the buyer says, I bought. Right, done. I bought it. I bought the laptop. Another guy said, I've sold it. Deal done. In English, you don't have to say that because that's not how we say things. But in the olden days, there were places where they used to speak, this is how they used to say it. Yeah, they used to use past. But in today's times, when we go shops, we don't say to people, I bought this chocolate. We say, can I buy this chocolate? Right? So this is now the ijab and qabul. Now, one thing to remember is in an offer and acceptance, if, for example, like in the offer and acceptance, You go to a shop and on the computer there is a price tag there. Yeah, there's a price tag. That is not the offer, okay? That is just an advertisement. That is not the offer. So don't consider that the offer. That's just saying that we are possibly willing to sell it for this much. And if they deny at the counter, if they say, well, we're not selling it, that's fine then. So now what happens? So he says, when an offer is made, either awjaba, when one of the two muta'aqidain, the two contracting parties makes an offer. So let's say, for example, the buyer makes an offer. فَالْآخَرُ بِالْخِيَارِ. The other person has time to think about it. He doesn't have to say yes or no. Right? He's got time. This sort of like window of thinking, let's call this a window of thinking. Right? So this time to think and decide. This is called khiyar al-majlis. Okay, so let's move this to a side a bit. What is it called? Khiyar al-majlis. Khiyar al-majlis basically means the other guy does not have to respond straight away. He can think about it. So he can either accept, say yes, I accept, or he might say refuse and decline and say no, I don't. Yeah, so yes or no. So why is this for? Because if you remember in the crash course I said transaction, the definition of bay is basically mubadala tul mali bil mali bit taradi. Yeah, exchange of goods for goods with mutual consent. Therefore, if this guy makes an offer and we say this guy has to accept, then that would mean that there is no mutual consent. It's just like forced. So that's why we have to have this concept. So if someone says to you, do you want to buy my car? I'm selling it for, I don't know, £5,000. And you say, no, or yes. You have a choice. You don't have to accept. That's basically what it's saying. So, in sha'a qabila fil majlisi. So this guy, if he wants, he can accept qabila. Wa in sha'a raddahu. And if he wants, he can actually decline it, say no. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, let's just put a time on this. Okay, let's put a time. So the time is this. At, I don't know, 2 p.m., this guy made an offer. Now they're sitting together. They're in the same, let's say, for example, they're in the same room. Right, this is the same room they're in. And this guy makes an offer 2 p.m. And obviously, he's got time to think about it. Does he want to accept it? Does he not want to accept it? Well, when does that time stop? So he says, if this guy has not accepted, he's still thinking, the first guy, the one that made the offer, he can back out if he likes. He's got a chance to back out. So when you make an offer, it doesn't become binding. You can actually back out and say, no. But when can you back out? You can back out so long as the other person has not made a yes or no. Before making yes or no. So yes or no. Before this period, he has time to make a decision. So this is what he's basically saying over here. And also a second thing you need to understand. So let's say, for example, this gathering is going on and it's like 2:30 now and no one has said anything, right? So this guy has got the possibility of backing out. Whoever in this time period shows any sign of declining, so shows any sign, for example, someone stands up and walks off, or someone begins to talk to someone else, like goes out the room, not interested, or starts eating, anything which shows, any sign that shows the guy is not interested, the deal's over. That's what it's basically saying. All right, so وَأَيُّهُمَا قَامَ مِنَ الْمَجْلِسِ. Whichever of the two parties, this guy or this guy, whichever of the two parties stands up from the gathering. Stand up from the gathering means like walks off as though they're not interested. So imagine, for example, you go to a counter in a shop and they say to you, oh, the coffee is for £2. And then you just say, okay, thanks. And you walk off. That kind of shows you're not interested. So the deal's off. Deal's off the table. قَبْلَ الْقَبُولِ. Prior to the qabul being done. So before this time, all this period of time. بَطَلَ الْإِجَابُ. The offer is now dropped. So that offer cannot be taken. Maybe this guy might want to change his offer now. He can do that. However, إِذَا حَصَلَ الْإِجَابُ وَالْقَبُولُ. If ijab and qabul does happen, yes. So he does say yes. لَزِمَ الْبَيْعُ. The trade becomes binding now. Legally becomes binding. So therefore, that means, in short, this guy now becomes the owner of the laptop and this guy now becomes owner of the cash. So ownership now transfers. Once this is done, the deal has sealed now. There's no way you can break it now. You can't break it, right? So وَلَا خِيَارَ, there's no choice لِوَاحِدٍ, for any one of them two parties to break the contract. So if I come to you and I buy your laptop off you and I pay the money, it's over now. That's it. I'm the owner, you're the owner. In fact, even if I don't pay you the money, as long as I've accepted your offer or you've accepted mine, it's done basically. Illa, unless there is a fault found in it. So if a fault was found in the laptop, I can get a full refund. Or admi ru'yatin, or I haven't seen the laptop. And when I go home and open up the box, I realize this isn't the one that you promised. You told me it's a black laptop and it's actually a blue laptop, right? I'm not happy with this. So these are two situations that you can say, okay, that a person can actually give the item back. In any situation, you go to shops, you buy a can of, I don't know, chickpeas, you open it up and inside it's all rotten. Go back to the shop, get your money back. Or for example, you go to the shop and in the shop they've told you that, you know, this box, a cake box contains a gateau cake. And then you come home, you open it and you find it to be, I don't know, Victoria sponge cake, right? So it wasn't the thing that you were promised. So these are the two situations where you actually have. Now, there's a third situation where you can actually get your money back, and that is by mutual consent. So if mutual consent is done, meaning both of you are happy to break the contract, that's also, and we're going to talk about that in a separate chapter called Iqala. Okay, so I won't discuss that much more in detail. Okay, now the next thing now is this is to do with the item, the cash. Yeah. So let's say, for example, let's bring this back down again. Actually, let me draw some more. Yeah. So whilst I'm doing this, I might just draw some more for you guys. So for instance, let's say there are two people doing a contract, right? Someone's buying, I don't know, a cup of coffee, and this guy's going to give some money, right? So bag of money, right? So what's going to happen here? So this item, this guy can either just point at the cash, say, can I just give you this? So the seller hasn't really counted how much it is. He just looked at it and said, you know what, that's okay. That's allowed, right? This is called, pointing at it. And it's also, you're also allowed to mention what you're going to give, right? So you can say, I'm going to give you £2.50 for the coffee, right? So this is known as pointing, and this is known as mentioning the specific amount. So it's up to you. In other words, you don't have to, when you're buying something, you might just go to the shopkeeper and say, I've just got this, and you show them in your hand. I've just got this, and you've got like a, handful of money. He looks at it, he goes, fine, I'll take it. That's allowed, right? So again, in this situation, what happens? So, al-a'wadu al-mushar ilayha, those exchangeable items that are pointed at, like here, la yuhtaju, are not in need of ma'rifah, of their amount, knowledge of their amount, fi jawaz al-bay', for the transaction to be valid. You can mention just pointing, or in fact, you can even mention to a person about how much it is. Like you can phone someone on the phone, and obviously if you're on the phone, you can't point at the cash. So on the phone, you're going to have to say, I'm going to give you this much. Or, you buy stuff on Amazon and the price is actually there. Okay, now, if you do mention, if you can't point at something, if you're buying something on the phone or online and you can't show the seller what you're going to give them in exchange, the cash, then you have to mention what you're going to give them basically. Now, this is an important thing to understand as well, which is that, look, when you're going to mention the exact, in the olden days, currency was gold or silver. That's it. There was some other, you can say semi-coins that they had, semi-currency, but this was the main thing. So gold and silver both require how many, number one, you need to know how many gold coins are you going to give, right? And how many, and also what quality. Is it high quality gold? Is it like 24 karat gold? Is it low quality gold? Is it 18 karat, 14 karat, 12 karat? So in the olden days, and that's why in the books they say, al-athman al-mutlaqa, the athman, the currencies that are unconditioned. Unconditioned currency is in reference to the non-pointy ones. Non-pointy ones. لا تصح is not valid إلا أن تكون, unless it is معروفة القدر والصفة, unless it is known in qadr, in amount and description. Yeah, so the amount and the description has to be mentioned. How many and the quantity. Now, in today's time, you've got notes, haven't you? Pound notes, dollars. So those you just have to know how much you're going to give. Like, what are you going to give on the phone? Okay, I'll take 50 pounds. Right, so we know the amount and we know the currency. Today, that's the only two things that we need to know. We don't need to know the weight of the pounds or the weight of the dollars. No, that is irrelevant now. Does everyone understand that? Okay, so that's that. Next, وَيَجُوزُ. Now, when you sell something, you technically have to give the money on the spot, right? So the money should be given on the spot. So really, you should give the money there and then, meaning on the spot. But you can also give credit as well, meaning give it on credit. Deferred payment, right? So deferred payment, we call this mu'ajjal. In Arabic, it's called mu'ajjal. And there and then is called hal, cash. Yeah, halun. Yeah, with the shadda. Hal, halla yahullu. So he says, وَيَجُوزُ is permitted a transaction بِثَمَنٍ with currency that is cash there and then, وَمُؤَجَّل and also deferred payment. إِذَا كَانَ الْأَجَلُ, so long as when you're going to do it on credit, you have to mention the time, the exact, when are you going to pay? So you buy something online, they say, okay, you can pay, you've got 6 months to pay. That's basically the time. Within 6 months, you have to pay, right? So this time is something that's needed. And you can't just say, oh, I'll pay you later. I'll pay you, I don't know, I'll pay you when it snows. Yeah, when is it going to snow? Don't know. So the ajal has to be ma'lum. Ajal means time period, has to be known. Okay, so this is basically when it comes to this. Now, so he says, let's say, for example, like this guy, yeah, let's say, for instance, I don't know. In fact, let's draw on the other side. I think, yeah, I should do on the side. Yeah, let's do on the side, just to make it nice. So, for instance, let's say this guy, he is the seller, this guy is the buyer, okay? So, the buyer, he asks, how much is this laptop for? And the seller goes, it's for 500. But he doesn't say the currency. What currency is it? He hasn't mentioned the currency. This should not be allowed, because this guy now is going to get confused. He might think 500 pounds, or is it 500 euros, or is it $500? I don't know what he's talking about, because there could be a difference between, these currencies, a big difference between them. So this is why, I don't know how to do that euro sign. Yeah, but you get the euro. So what kind of currency is this? So technically it should not be allowed. But if they're in a country where there is a dominant currency, let's say, for example, they're in the UK, and in the UK, the dominant currency is sterling pound. Therefore, we assume it's going to be sterling pound. Yeah. That's if it's in the UK. What if they're in Dubai airport? So in Dubai airport, right, where multiple currencies can be used. So you can have pounds, you can have rupees, you can have dollars, you can have euros. Yeah. You can have various things. And he was there. What would happen there? In that case, then it would not be allowed. This transaction would be considered what we call defective. So the transaction, the definition of transaction has been found. Mubadalatul mali bil mali bil taradi. But we don't know which one it is. If, however, the guy, he clarifies and says, oh, by the way, it's dollars. He clarifies it. Then it'll be okay. Yeah, before he walks off. As long as he clarifies it before he walks off, then it's going to be considered to be okay. All right. So, man atlaqa, whoever mentions unconditionally the price, like over here, he just says 500. Fil bay'i, in a transaction, kana ala ghalibi naqdil balad. This will be treated as the dominant currency of that land. فَإِنْ كَانَتْ, however, if the nuqud, the currencies are different, like in Dubai, they're different. فَالْبَيْءُ فَاسِدٌ, the bay will be treated as defective. Unless, إِلَّا أَن يُبَيِّنَ, unless he, meaning this guy over here, the seller, clarifies ahadaha, one of these, which one is it? And in this case it's dollars, in that case is jais. Okay, so it'll be permitted in that case. Okay, so I think I actually wanted to do all of this, but I think it's just gonna get too long. So I'll just stop there. The rest of it I will do next session, inshallah. Right, I will do the rest of it next session because otherwise it's just gonna get too long and it's gonna get too confusing. So let's just summarize this over here then. So first of all, Kitab al-Buyoo. Buyoo is basically exchanging mal for mal with mutual consent. The buyer and the seller, when they sell something, they have to use an offer and acceptance. Right? So I bought, I sold. And in Arabic, you have to use past verbs. In English, it's fine because we're not used to that. When one of the persons has made an offer, right? So let's say he made an offer at 2 o'clock. The other person has a choice to say yes or no. Okay? If, however, one of the persons in this window, this time period, was to stand up, walk off, then deal's over. And the guy making the offer has the right to back out anytime he wants, so long as the acceptance hasn't been done. Once the acceptance has been done, that deal becomes binding now, right? Lazima. And no one has a choice of returning the item unless there's a fault in there, like we said, aib, or item has not been seen and found it to be other than the item that they were promised. Okay, what about the cash then? So cash can actually be given just by pointing at it, or it can be given by mentioning exactly what it is. Okay, so if you mention pointing at it, that's fine because you can see it. The guy's happy. But what if it's on the phone or online and you can't see the cash? Then you have to mention how many and quality. This is in reference to gold and silver. To cash, you have to mention how much, and what currency. Yeah. Okay, what if you're buying something and you want to buy with credit? Are you allowed to? Yes, as long as you mention the stipulated time. But by default, every transaction, money should be given on the spot. And okay, what about someone who mentions a currency, someone who mentions an amount but doesn't mention the currency? What happens there? You look at the dominant currency of the land. And what about when it comes to a place like Dubai airport where they've got lots of currencies? Then the transaction will be defective, meaning it will be wrong, sinful, unless the guy clarifies it, then it'll go through. And that's it, guys. So I hope you guys benefit from this and enjoyed it. Jazakumullah khair. Okay, let me ask you some questions. What is the definition of bay'? Mubadalatul mali bil mali. What's an offer and acceptance? Offer is when a guy presents something, an offer, and the other guy accepts. But in the shops, when they have an advertisement, that's not an offer. Okay, that's not considered to be an offer. Okay, what about if a person accepts, doesn't accept? How long does he have to accept? Until he walks out the gathering. Okay, can the guy who made the offer back out? And when? Yes, he can. He can back out so long as the other guy hasn't accepted. Okay, and what if the contract goes through? Can they break it? No, they can't break it. Unless a fault is found in the item or hasn't been seen, the item. And what about the cash? Do you have to mention exact how much cash you're giving the guy? No, you can even point at it if it's pointable. And if you can't, then you have to mention how much and the quality if it's gold and silver. And what about when it comes to things like when you buy something and the guy hasn't told you the currency? Like in the UK, we say this is for a fiver. Is that allowed? So we say, yeah, that's allowed because you look at the dominant currency. And what if you're in a place where there's no dominant currency? Then the transaction's considered defective. But if he clarifies it, then it's okay. So hope you guys benefit from that. Jazakumullah khair. I will see you guys next time. Thank you to my patrons, by the way, for supporting the channel. If any of you guys like the work I do, want to become patrons, you think, you know what, I want to support this channel, Sadaqah Jariyah, support this cause, then please, it means a lot to me, this project does. And details are in the description below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.